Hi, I'm Mark Zinkowitz, editor with Seed World Group, and welcome to a special edition of the Seed World podcast. We're talking with sponsors of the Borlaug Scholarship. Founded by legendary corn breeder Don Cummings, the Borlaug Scholarship program strengthens the plant breeding profession by helping support attendance of future leaders at the National Association of Plant Breeders, or NAPB, annual meeting. The state of Missouri is known as part of the American Corn Belt, but it's also known for another major crop, soybeans. The University of Missouri-Columbia boasts one of the top soybean research programs in the country. I spoke with Greg Luce, Director of Research at Missouri Soybeans, which sponsors the Borlaug Scholarship, and Caio Canella, a soybean researcher at the University of Missouri and a former Borlaug Scholar himself. We talked about the biggest challenges in the soybean breeding community in Missouri, the value of the Borlaug Scholarship, and why they think other organizations should come on board as sponsors themselves. Enjoy our chat. Greg, Caio, thank you for joining me. Greg, let's start with you. What would you say is the top challenge faced by the soybean breeding community in Missouri?
Now, that's a great question because soybeans are the number one crop in Missouri and most economical crop to be grown in our state. They have such tremendous value, and they're such a versatile crop that it can withstand a lot of different things. So just in thinking about soybean breeding, for instance, one of the challenges may be for a breeder to decide just what to work on, because there's a lot of different avenues that they could go. We certainly are faced with some changes that we see with the climate. For instance, we have much more frequent rainfalls and we have water saturated conditions. And so oftentimes soybeans are faced with extreme wet conditions and flooding, and then maybe in that same season there could be drought. So resilience to abiotic stresses, both drought and flood, are one thing that I think going forward in the future will be very important. But perhaps the number one thing, one of the avenues that breeders have the opportunity to work on is compositional traits. And again, with soybean, they have so much potential for a protein source, the value of the oil, the different fatty acid profiles. And, for instance, in Missouri, we work with the soylaic trait, which is a particular high oleic, low linolenic trait. And there's great opportunity, I think, in the food realm as far as soybeans go. So that may be an area that has just a lot of potential that we can capture. So really, there's just a lot of different avenues I think breeders can choose, and a great deal of opportunity that they have.
So Greg, what is the best way to ensure that you continue to get new blood in the soybean breeding community?
Through all the different kinds of studies that are funded by the Missouri Soybean Merchandising Council, one of the things they take very seriously is, and they're very proud of, is that they've helped to fund many students over the years. In fact, we've kept track of that, and we have a huge number of undergraduate, master's, PhD, and postdocs that have been funded through studies that have been part of the Missouri Soybean Merchandising Council and the Missouri Soybean Farmers Checkoff. So we're really proud of that effort, but that's something that, is always a challenge. And we love to see, young people getting into agriculture in general and in the soybean breeding area.
Now, Caio, you're originally from Brazil. What attracted you to researching soybean in Missouri?
I came to Missouri mostly because of the breeding programs on soybean. I had a chance of being in different places, but Missouri was always that university where soybean breeding, very applied soybean breeding, was a big component of the grad school program. So I came here in 2017, and ever since I came here, I was involved with, indirectly with Missouri soybeans, as Greg was mentioning before. Most of the research on soybeans, not only necessarily breeding, but soybeans in general in the state of Missouri, is funded by Missouri soybeans. And going back to the thing with the coming from Brazil, that's actually a big difference. And it was something that to me was pretty exciting to see how much organizations like this help to advance the crop, not only in their own state, but nationally speaking.
Now, I originally interviewed you when you were actually a Borlaug Scholar that year at the meeting of the National Association of Plant Breeders. What attracted you to becoming a Borlaug Scholar?
So, like I said before, 2017 was when I came here for the first time. And then I got involved with the Borlaug Scholar program in 2019. So it was a 2019 Borlaug. And that experience to me was quite incredible. I like to say there's probably three major components of this program that when a student get in, they really can make the most out of it. The first one to me is your one-on-one mentorship. I mean, based on your career goals, if you want to pursue a career in private or public sector, the program pairs you with a mentor in each of those sectors. And then you have, that kind of one-on-one mentorship. You're exposed to things that you probably would not be exposed without this kind of mentorship. So to me, it was extremely helpful getting that insight from the private sector and kind of guiding the next steps of my career. Was really, really helpful. And I think the second component of this program that is really critical and goes back to what we're doing today is the exposure that it gives to all the students. I mean, it helps you to highlight your research, your career, your aspirations in so many different venues. And Seed World is a big contributor to that, with all the podcasts and the articles. If you go to some conferences, you're going to see the NAPB booth highlighting the Borlaug Scholars. So that's really, really, really helpful for us, starting our career and moving forward from there. And I think the third one, and kind of touch base between the importance of this program, is really the network you can make with previous and future Borlaug Scholars. I mean, like we were discussing before, it's really a group of students focused on plant breeding, with the same goals, same aspirations, and the ability of interacting with different classes of Borlaugs and kind of getting together to do some projects is really, really helpful. So I think if you combine all of this, it makes it a really unique program when it comes to plant breeding. It definitely supports the future generation of plant breedings coming up. So I'm very fortunate to be part of that.
So Greg, how did Missouri Soybeans become a sponsor of the Borlaug Scholarship?
Well, actually, Kaio helped to bring this to us and make us aware of the program. And he just did a great job of describing all the great benefits of being a Borlaug Scholar and the interaction and the relationships that are built over time. And so we were, very happy to sponsor this type of a program to help plant breeding students to network like that. I think it's just a great opportunity, and the students that have been through it, besides Kaio, the other students that I know that have been through the program, all speak very highly of it, and that network and interaction with folks within the plant breeding circle is really important. So, we're happy to sponsor this program.
Kaio, why, in your opinion, should organizations think about becoming sponsors of the Borlaug Scholarship, and why should people think of applying to be Borlaug Scholars?
I think it's a mutual benefit. I think, the industry, the sponsors, they can start investing in this program, which, like I mentioned before, it's very unique. There's nothing like this when it comes to plant breeding, plant genetics. They have the chance of, helping to prepare probably the students that are going to come back in a couple of years and will be helping their organization, to grow and to expand even more. So I think it's you just help right at the root. You start investing as early as possible. And I'm sure, like I said before, it's a mutual benefit. I mean, everyone, at the end of the day, everyone benefits from this type of interaction.
Greg, what do you see as the real value in this scholarship?
I think that it broadens the perspective of the student. So one of the things is, when you're in school, and when I went through graduate school, and I was not in breeding, I was in soil fertility, but it's so great to have opportunities to see what's going on in other areas and other people's ideas and concepts. And I think with the Borlaug Scholarship, students have an opportunity to work with a mentor, and they have an opportunity to meet people in different areas that are working on different projects, and they just get that scope of what's going on in the industry and, with different crops. And it's just a very great opportunity to network. And I don't think you can replace that. I think it's a great way to start a career in the plant breeding area for a student to have that experience.
Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast today. For more information on the Borlaug Scholarship program and the NAPB, visit seedworld.com/NAPB. And for more information on becoming a sponsor, visit plantbreeding.org/Borlaug-Scholars. That's plantbreeding.org/Borlaug-Scholars. Borlaug is spelled Borlaug. You can also visit the Missouri Soybean Association website at mosoy.org. That's MOSOY.org. Have a great day.